The hardest thing in the world isn't having 8 a.m. classes Monday through Friday or trying to find a place that will take meal plans, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hardest thing to do is land a joke. Humor is hard to do consistently well. It's part science, part art, and requires lots of testing and practice if you are going to use it on audiences of all types of humors. Sir Ken Robinson, a renowned educator, uses humor in helpful ways to keep his audience engaged and entertained in his TED Talk, Do Schools Kill Creativity? Robinson is determined to get you hooked on what he has to say about creativity in schools. He walks out on stage, talks about how wonderful the conference has been, he's been blown away, and in fact, he's leaving. The audience begins to chuckle and then becomes fully aware not everything will be a serious comment in this speech. He proceeds to use jokes and funny anecdotes throughout the rest of his 20-minute presentation, and never once are you unsure what he means when it comes to what needs to be done to put more creativity into schools and why the lack of creativity is a problem. His humor is meant to keep us on our toes and make us listen. As far as the jokes themselves go, Robinson does two things very well. First of all, his jokes that aren't funny stories about kids being creative are about himself, his family, or his profession. There is no offended audience during the speech. He makes them laugh by being self-deprecating through saying things like how no one wants to invite an educator like himself to dinner parties, and he needs total concentration to fry an egg. He also makes it a point to never make jokes out of the school's education or creativity he so clearly cares about. The closest it comes is playful anecdotes about kids willing to take risks. One of the stories he tells is of a nativity play his son was in, and he talks about what happened with the part of the Three Kings.
Boys came in, little 4-year-olds with tea towels on their heads, and they put these boxes down. The first boy said, "I bring you gold." And the second boy said, "I bring you mare." And the third boy said, "Frank sent this."
The audience loves it, but Robinson makes sure to follow it up with a short discussion on how kids aren't afraid to be wrong and take a chance. Never once does he discredit himself through his humor or accidentally make light of his topic. He also points out,
Now, I don't mean to say that being wrong is the same thing as being creative. What we do know is, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never come up with anything original.
the only thing Robinson might do slightly better in his use of humor is to try not to stray so far from his topic to make a joke. Before the previously stated example, Robinson introduces the story by saying his son was in a production of the Nativity. He explains it was a really big story. The audience might have heard of it, actually. Mel Gibson starred in the sequel, Nativity 2. With this joke, he stays right on track, getting a laugh, but easily able to segue into his point about how children are willing to take risks. However, there are times when he does a bit about Shakespeare, and he discusses he and his wife's opinion of his son's first girlfriend, and they get a bit too far off topic. I even caught myself trying to remember what his point was with these stories. There weren't any, he was just going for a laugh. And in his defense, the stories were funny, and the audience seems to agree. Robinson is also able to bring everything back around. That is what is most impressive about this speaker. Every joke gets a laugh, and every point packs a punch.